Hello and welcome back to Bickering Nerds. I'm Mike, and today I'm joined by Brad and Carson. Today we're going to be going over the top 2024 games, not really in any order, just the games that we played of 2024, and kind of discuss them, see what we thought, and just kind of, our way of saying goodbye to 2024 and looking forward to 2025. So, Carson, Brad, say hi.
Greetings, everybody.
Hi, Brad.
Thanks, Brad. Thank you,
problem.
Carson. So today we're just going to kind of go over a list, different games and reasons they made the list. And it's not like these have to be the greatest games that has ever played ever, or even AAA games, or if it was just a game that got that nostalgic bone or something like that. Just something that we appreciated over the year. But I don't know about you guys, but 2024 for me was a little bit of a gaming lull. Not like there was anything wrong with the gaming industry. It was just more of I had a hard time getting time to play games. So
Personal drought.
yeah, like a personal gaming drought. So this list was kind of hard for me. So
Yeah, I found that when I was going back and going, like, what did I play this year? It's like a lot of the games I played this year weren't from this year.
Same. I went back to a lot of titles from nostalgia and past. The list from 2024 itself is exceedingly small.
right, yeah, I kind of had the same issue. I had a lot of 2023 games because I'm still trying to work the backlog from that. And as we've talked about plenty of times before on Bickering Nerds, is that the reason it started was just to kind of clear out backlogs and look at not old games, but the games that we have and make us actually have to play them. So I ran into the same thing. I was like, oh my God, what do I have left? What game did I play this year that actually came out this year? So the list was a little bit weird, but I guess we can kind of get started with them unless you guys want to talk about something else first.
No, I'm ready to go in.
All right. Who wants to go first? Do you want to do? Well, we can't do rock, paper, scissors. We're not in the same room. Anyone want to volunteer to go first for their list of 2024?
Let's start cutting down on the longest list.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like you probably have the longest list here, Mike, because I know mine's about 5 games that
Okay.
even came from this year.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I can get started. That's not a problem. So I would say this. I have a list of games that I played that I think have to be mentioned for 2024. Like they made 2024 the gaming year for me. And then I have some honorable mentions and then some other ones that kind of are interesting, right? For different reasons. But so to kind of go through the list, the first one was HellDivers 2. And the reason I put this game on my list, and I'm not going to dig too deep into it, but any game that brings you and your buddies together to fight a common goal instead of just doing PvP all the time and stuff like that, but an actual PvE, I think that's great. Like I'm a big couch co-op fan, so when HellDivers came out, I mean, who does couch co-op nowadays? But working with your buddies, getting on Discord, playing the game together, shooting a bunch of bugs or shooting a bunch of robots is always a lot of fun. So, what are your guys' thoughts about HellDivers 2? Did you enjoy it?
So I've only played a little bit of that game, and it is fun and everything like that. I do
Sure.
like that the studio actually put a lot of work into creating adaptive updates for it as well, where it's not so much like, here's patch 1.02. All of a sudden, they would just add stuff to the game that was kind of just hidden away, waiting for an on switch in an update that had already been released.
Right.
Like when they added the swarms and the tornadoes and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Like people just logged in. There was no update to download. They logged in and it was there. It's like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like the idea of a studio having like these background updates that they're waiting to trickle out to kind of give new content to people that aren't insane patch updates, but still kind of add to the value of the game and the experience you're playing it.
Right. And I do like the idea that it is a live service game, right? Let's not dance around that at all. It is a live service game, but it's all cosmetic, which is really nice. I think I don't remember if the armor gives you a little extra bonus here or there, or if there wasn't one that, the equivalent for gaining in game. I really don't remember that. But either way, you didn't need to spend any money other than the initial money for the game. So that's the one thing I think's a little bit ballsy by them, was the fact that they charged for a full game and then made it so to buy the armor in game was also like not cheap. But other than that, I think the game was pretty good about that. Carson, did you have a chance to play that game?
I did not.
Okay.
But it looked gorgeous, and I loved a lot of the references communities were making to, Starship Troopers. That was part of my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
I just liked a lot of what I saw, so I wanted to play it, and I could see why it's on a list.
Yeah. And also one of the honorable mentions I have is the Starship Troopers, was it called Evacuation? That came out this year also. And it didn't make my list of like top anything because it wasn't that good, and I think the humor of Starship Troopers was captured better in HellDivers 2 than Starship Troopers the game. So, which is kind of silly.
But with
not surprising though.
Yeah, with the topic of HellDivers though, and the way that Sony decided to push the game to PC and everything with requiring a PlayStation account.
Yes.
And how do you guys feel about that kind of thing, where you buy a game for PC, and Ubisoft is notorious for doing this as well, where once you go to play it, it's like, log in. And it's like, no, thank you. No, you have to log in to this other service on top of having it on Steam or having bought it from somewhere else. And in order to play it, you had to have an account somewhere else.
Oh, I will say that, yeah, I don't like that, first off. But at the same time, it's been going on forever. I mean, like, I forgot what game I just tried out. I'm having a brain fart. But I had to have a NetEase account to play the game.
Oh, yeah.
On top of playing the game, right? And I remember EA. EA still does it, and you have to do it like for Dragon Age and all that other stuff. It was like, have an account, blah blah blah. And yeah, as you're right, Ubisoft was horrible about it, or still is horrible about it. But I'm not surprised. Like I would say this: people were jumping on Sony for doing that. You guys are still logging into the game for Ubisoft, or for EA, or for any of these other ones, right? So it's not just Sony doing it to you; it's all of these people doing it to you. So if you're mad at Sony, you should be also mad at Ubisoft.
I think the reason Sony got a lot more flack for it though is because it wasn't originally a part of the game. It was added in as a requirement following the game's success on PC.
Oh yeah.
So people that had bought it, that live in countries where PlayStation Network doesn't exist, all of a sudden couldn't play their game because they couldn't make an account to log into it. After like playing so much of it, they were just told, no, you don't have the rights to play your game anymore.
Right. And that's a different problem. But yes, I agree with you that if it would just came down to creating an account and logging in, yeah, whatever, right? But if your country blocks it, or if it all of a sudden breaks the game for you, that's bad, right? Like, yeah, that shouldn't exist.
I have always been a fan of being able to play the games that you buy, even when services aren't available. So I'm sometimes unhappy to play games that require an internet connection, even.
Yeah.
Because I like situations where you can go travel and play the things that you paid for because they're yours, or at least they should be. But forcing the account signups and internet connections are just kind of ways to not keep it yours, it feels.
Right. Driver 1, I think, is the big game right now that started that whole game
the
archive.
Conservative PC games movement.
Yeah, because they're shutting down all the servers, so you can no longer play the game. And and also the other thing is nowadays, I know we're getting way off topic here, but something else that came out this year was the EULAs for a lot of games showed that you no longer own the games. You are buying the rights to play the game, especially digital copies. So yeah, you're not like, as you were saying, Carson, you don't own anything anymore. You're buying a license to play the game. And I remember Blizzard getting a bunch of slack for that because of Diablo being internet requirement for even Diablo 3 when that came out. Everyone was like,
And honestly, it's that sort of thing that there are a lot of amazing games, so many amazing games that we can't play them all, and that's just an easy way to cull the herd sometimes if I really have to choose. I am playing Diablo 4. I'm, biting that bullet. It's not always a deal breaker or anything like that, but it is distasteful.
It is. I agree. Yeah, it's just kind of the society that we're going into, just like cable TV dying, everything's going to be on demand soon. Like Xbox, you can play the games online now. Sony, I think, was trying it. Staying way off the topic here, but Brad and I, when we went to E3, OnLive was there, and we were looking at that, and it was a subscription-based gaming solution where you buy the hardware, I guess you buy the hardware, and you play the games 100% over the internet, kind of like that NVIDIA, what's it called, NVIDIA Now? I think that's
I believe so.
Yeah. A lot where the game is being rendered and everything over there, and all you're getting is the pictures, and your controller is getting sent back to it. It didn't take off. I would have to look into see what happened. I'm pretty sure they got bought up and dismantled and things like that, and the technology went someplace. But
I believe Walmart purchased them, if I'm correct.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it was one of those weird ones where a big company, it was like Walmart or Amazon or something, bought them up because they were like, oh yeah, we can get into this industry because we have the access to the databases and the server speeds in order to run this, because that was one of the big problems of OnLive.
Right.
There was just not the throughput of speed to get everybody the same experience.
Yeah. And Stadia didn't work out, which was Google's version of that. And then Amazon has Luna. And I tried out Luna for a minute, and talk about Ubisoft, man. You had to pay your Luna fees or whatever it was, like $10 a month to play the games that they had. But then Ubisoft wanted an additional $15 for their library. So you'd be paying Amazon $25 a month or something like that just to be able to play their entire library, which was pretty much Ubisoft and Candy Crush. So yeah.
And speaking of the NVIDIA Now thing, there's the whole thing where they're limiting how many hours you can play when you have that subscription before you have to buy an additional tier subscription to continue playing. Yeah. And I can't remember what the hours is, but it's an insane amount of hours that most people would never hit. Yeah. And somebody did the calculations of you'd have to be playing 10 hours every day of the month in order to hit this limit. And people are like, yeah, but they're still restricting us. And it's are you playing 10 hours a day of video games on NVIDIA Now every day of the month?
Yeah. Actually, I remember when I was on the beta for that, and I remember back when it started, you pretty much just signed into a Steam account on a computer, on a remote computer, and was able to play the games from there. And your whole library was available to you. So I remember me and Fuzzin were actually screwing around with Far Cry 4 or 5, one of the two, whatever came out at the same time. And I remember the frame rate was horrible, absolutely horrible. And so we immediately went, nope, we're going to play this locally. But I said, this is, as soon as the internet catches up, this is going to be amazing when this actually gets released and does all that. But since then, NVIDIA has limited to the number of games or which games you can actually play through them. It's no longer your entire Steam account. I remember going through that list going, okay, is it everything I play currently? And then, nope, it's missing this, this, and this. So forget it. I'm not moving over to that. So the reason I'm bringing that up is like, let's say you want to play World of Warcraft. Well, Blizzard wasn't part of NVIDIA Now back then, so you wouldn't be able to play any Blizzard game. You know, you wouldn't be able to play WoW
Right.
or Diablo or any of that other. Well, now you can play Diablo, but you wouldn't be able to play it back then. So,
Yeah, it's limited in its library as well as, you know, what you're able to actually do with it. Because I think now even it's gotten a lot better, but it's still not like perfect. So if
Right.
you're trying to play something like an FPS, it's not going to happen. The best games for that are kind of like strategy games or ones where you're not expected to have quick reflexes.
right. Yep. Yep. Speaking of which, let me get into my next game because I think this will help kind of show the genre I typically play. So we're on game number 2, by the way.
Making great time.
Making great time. Yeah, it doesn't matter. This is fine. The next one I have is Nobody Wants to Die. And I absolutely loved this game. I thought it was amazing. Could have been labeled a visual novel with choices. Sure, I don't care. But I love Altered Carbon. I thought the TV show was great, and I'm a big fan of kind of the dystopian Blade Runner future idea. So Nobody Wants to Die was great. Takes place in 2339 or something like that, 2349 in New York. Spectacular game. If you guys haven't played it, highly recommend it, especially if you can get it on sale. It's not an action-packed game. There's no life or death situation. You're going to a murder scene and you're rewinding and fast forwarding the events that happened and trying to like find out, find the clues of like who shot who, when, and things like that. It's a lot of fun. Either one of you guys play it or had it on your wish list or anything like that?
I
Or
did
even
not
heard of
play
it?
that one.
Okay. What about you, Carson?
I also had not heard of it.
Okay. Yep. It's a pretty fun one. All right. Game number 3 on the list. This one's near and dear to my heart. Squirrel with a Gun. Absolutely loved playing that game. And I am so proud of the 3 developers that were there, or 1 developer really, but that made that game. It was spectacular, especially for a first game of that company. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I still, just the premise alone
Mhm.
is enough of a kind of grab your attention to give it a try and everything. And yeah, during our playthrough of it and everything, I still want to play that game, even though I've seen an entire playthrough of it as we were playing it.
Yeah.
Because absolutely loved it. It's absolutely hilarious. The gameplay looks fun. It looks crunchy enough in terms of its like platforming that there is a little bit of a challenge with it, just because the controls are overly precise in a way.
Yep. Or underly precise. Is that a word?
Or underly precise,
underly,
whichever way.
Yeah, over. Yeah.
Imprecise.
Imprecise. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Squirrel with a Gun, great game. Check it out if you haven't already. With Bickering Nerds, we did pretty much the first half of the game got captured, and if you want to see us finish the game, we can redo the second half, and maybe we'll have Brad play the second half or something like that. Next one is another one that I know that all of us played, but it goes back to the same thing as HellDivers. It was a game that we all got to play together, which made me really happy because it gave us a single target to attack. PalWorld.
Oh yes.
PalWorld for me was, regardless of what you think about the whole Pokemon PalWorld bullcrap that's going on, it was a great game, right? Like, especially, and another same thing before. It's not a really big company that started it. I know it's now backed by Sony, but overall, it was a great game, and we got onto it on early access, right? Yeah, it wasn't.
I believe so. Yeah.
So I remember some bugs, but overall it was pretty smooth. We had our own private server, things like that. We had a lot of blast with that. So
That one's actually on my list as well for PalWorld, just because it's a ton of fun. And no
Mm-hmm.
matter what you're trying to do, whether it's you're building up a base or you're going out exploring or you're just trying to collect pals, nice little friends that you love and adore, 100%. Nothing nefarious whatsoever.
and then there's the butcher knife.
And then there's the butcher knife.
Arguably one of the major draws for the game.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, I love games where you get to explore. Crafting isn't always my biggest draw to those games.
Yeah.
But the exploration and shiny things that draw my attention, that game was filled with them. Oh, I can do this. I can go over here. I could skip this thing that wasn't interesting me. I really liked that. And the monsters, they were surprisingly fun. Like you said, wherever you stand on the Pokemon versus PalWorld debate, it's one thing, but I thought the creatures were pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And fun.
Yeah, and I like the bosses too. I thought those were pretty sweet. I thought the
Oh, yeah.
I could see them only getting more and more complex, like the stage and all that stuff interacting with you. I think the game has a very great starting point. I haven't played it in I think it was like the biggest update that just came out recently. I haven't had a chance to play that yet, and I heard there was like a lot of changes and the environment's a little bit more dynamic and stuff like that. But overall, PalWorld, good job. Okay.
Well done.
This is where my list gets a little bit more of, for me, they did something for me, right? So the first one, this is so dumb, is Crime Scene Cleaner.
Nice.
And the reason I thought that one was great was, one, I like the Power Wash Simulator. It's kind of a relaxing game. If you kind of want just a cool down, you don't feel like playing Call of Duty or something, you just want to relax and have, do something that's mindless, but at the same time gives you your dopamine fix. It's a great game, right? The same thing as Power Wash, Power Washer Simulator or any of those other simulators. It was fun, interesting, and it was great being a crime scene cleaner for a mob boss. I thought that was a great take on a game. The next one is my boomer shooter recommendation of the year, and once again, small company. I want them to succeed. Bears in Space. Spectacular game. I loved every second of this because it reminded me so much of High on Life. And I loved High on Life. I thought that was great. I am a, Rick and Morty fan, so of course High on Life is great to me. And Bears in Space is a good, I would say, a sibling to that in humor. All right, the next one I have is Still Wakes the Deep. And most people probably are listening is going, what is he talking about? Still Wakes the Deep. It was a very not successful game based on the numbers I've seen, but it has a great premise and a great location for a game. And I think I'd love to see more in that area. It's a Lovecraftian story. It takes place in the North Sea, above Scotland. So you have a bunch of Scottish people on an oil rig on the North Sea, and if you look down while you're playing the game at the sea, it is raging, and the graphics are amazing for that. And it's just a creepy location with creepy bad guys. It's a really good game, really good story to it too. So my little kid pick, the family friendly pick for this year, was Little Kitty Big City. I thought that game was funny and fun. I did play it. I had a blast playing it. I
did see gameplay for that one, and it does look stupidly fun.
It is. It is stupid and it's fun. I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty short too. I could see Carson enjoying that one too. If you haven't already.
I haven't yet, no.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of God of War. I do not own a PlayStation, and I wanted to put God of War Ragnarok on here, but I didn't get to play it this year because it just came out on PC just a few months ago, and I haven't had the chance to play it. So I played the next best game to that one, which is Banishers Ghost of New Eden, and that game is far from perfect, but it reminds me a lot of the new God of War. The third person kind of, what do you call them, arena fighters? Not arena fighter. Yeah, right? Is that
Kinda,
yeah?
because it's more like the hack and slash.
Yeah.
Kind of like it's a subgenre of hack and slash.
Yeah. Let's just say that. Yeah, it's like a hack and slash. Yeah. Usually I'd say like Diablo's a hack and slash, but that's also an action RPG. But so is this one. I don't know. Those genres always elude me. But yeah, Banishers Ghost of New Eden. It's a pretty fun game. It takes place in the 1600s. You're two people that come over from the United Kingdom, and you're solving murders and things like that. It's a little bit of investigation of crimes and things like that. The twist of the game is you can play it either as like a nice person or a bad person, more or less, to keep it simple. There's 3 choices you can do, but realistically it comes down to, are you pretty nice or are you a piece of junk? I played it you're the piece of junk kind of way, and it was hilarious playing as a horrible person. So so I was definitely a Sith in that environment. And then the last one I got on my 10, I guess, would be A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead. And I put this one on the list just because the integration of your microphone into the game. The game itself was great. It was a lot of fun. You had to be quiet. It was very stealthy, things like that. Was it hard? No. But the fact that you turn your mic on and every noise you make, or your dogs make, or your significant other makes in the background affects your game. So you have to make sure that you're in a quiet place while playing the game. He said it! If you want to get the full experience.
I kind of like that. It's very gimmicky, but at the same time, it's fun gimmicky, because a lot of games now have weird gimmicks about them that's like, that's kind of dumb. But like that one, I kind of like the idea of like, you're getting a delivery and they knock on your door unexpectedly and now you're going to die in the game because you didn't realize that FedEx was coming at this time.
Yep. Or your dog barks or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Does that game have their like stamina? Like, does your character breathe heavily if you run for too long?
Even better, your main character has asthma.
Oh, good.
Nice.
So if you run too long, she starts coughing and gacking and things like that.
Perfect.
So yeah, they did a great job for that. So I highly recommend it if you haven't played it yet. Some mentions I wanted to bring out, just because they didn't release this year as much as you want to say they released this year. Technically, they went from early access to released this year. So I didn't put it on my list. One is Satisfactory. So congratulations, Satisfactory, for reaching 1.0. And Last Epoch, or Epic, however you want to say that, that went to 1.0 also this year. So good job to them. I didn't put them on my list because, one, I've been playing Satisfactory, it feels like, for a decade. And Last Epoch, I've been playing for the last 3 years, it feels like. Some other ones that came out this year that I just wanted to bring up is Pacific Drive. That one was kind of fun. Blood, spelled hashtag, BLUD. I have a hard time saying the word hashtag. And the worst game ever made to play with your friends, because they will no longer be your friends when you're done playing it, is Chained Together.
That's in fact on my list.
I hated that game. I wanted to punch every single person that I was chained to by the time we were done playing that game. All right, that was my list. Who wants to go next?
I guess I can. But to comment on that last thing though real quick, Chained Together was like an injection of digital monopoly. Like, friends will become enemies, enemies will go to war. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But it is, however, an interesting party game.
It is.
Which, since I haven't played too many games, on my list, 2 of the ones that I would recommend to people, or at least comment about, are also party games. The first one being Liar's Bar. It's actually quite a good one. They just came out with the poker update, I believe, but they had the dice and the cheating cards games. Those were real fun. I liked that you guys brought me in on that. That was a lot That was really entertaining.
Yeah, that was a good game. I don't know why I didn't put that on my honorable mentions, but yeah, good job. Yeah, I like that one.
There was another party game that I would totally recommend to people called Content Warning. I think that we played that for one round. It was a little hard to get started with because I didn't exactly know what I was doing or how to explain it to you guys. And I was also brought into it randomly by some other friends. But going into this deep, dark, quiet, shady underground world with these monsters stalking you, and your goal is to find them and have video recordings of them and your friends getting injured by them. It's really anxiety filled, but in a fun way.
Yeah, that was a pretty interesting game. It reminded me a lot of like the pools, or what do you call it, background, or
The back
rooms and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, if everything was like the steam tunnels down below a city or something.
Yeah. Not exactly liminal space, but yeah, more of like doing some urban spelunking. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yep.
So the party games playing with you guys were pretty fun. I've also added PalWorld to my list. The same reasons that you guys had. It was super wonderful and kind of fresh on monsters, because a lot of monster games haven't really jumped into my mind and stood out. But something that was also very popular that I don't know if I would put on a top 10. However, as far as couch with your friends and play a shooter, the new Marvel Rivals
Oh yeah.
is
Yeah.
doing quite well. It's like another game that many of us have already played. Maybe we've watched over others playing it. But
Funny.
ultimately, it's fun for some of the references it makes to the popular culture of movies that we're all watching these days. It's fun to be a little bit part of that. It's fun to have a free shooter that is not poor quality. And then lastly, I've gotten sucked into this, but as a genre of game, mobile games, I'm a fan of sometimes because I'm out in the world and not in front of a machine.
What's that like?
That it's scary. I think it's dangerous, and you know what? I could do with less of it. And for that, I've been playing Pokemon TCG Pocket.
Okay. I have no
Yeah,
concept of that. Is it good? Like, do you enjoy it? Like, do you recommend
So-
it, or is it one of those
I started.
like if you start it,
I began to.
give away your life kind of thing?
Not quite that yet,
Okay.
luckily. I started it because I liked the nostalgic Pokemon atmosphere. I've never really understood how to play the game, and some of the rules in the app are a little bit differently, like, presented, but I think now I know how to play the Pokemon card game in real life, so that was kind of fun. If you ever wanted to learn how to play it, that would probably be a really simple tutorial. It is digital cards, but it's not necessary that you pay for them. Even if you don't, you can get like 2,000 cards in a year, which is a very large collection, and that would probably cover all the cards in the game from the base set, at least.
Right.
And so anybody who wants to play can probably get off to a good start. But otherwise, I just enjoy having the old Pokemon game stuff back.
That's really cool. Yeah, I remember that's actually how I learned to play Magic, was the iPad game for it. So
Yeah, another complicated card game
Yeah.
with gambling, but couldn't put it down for too long.
right.
Yeah, I know quite a few people that have played that Pokemon TCG, and all of them have the same response of just like, if you're gonna get into it, get into it. If you don't want to get into it, don't download it, because it will absorb you into it.
I think a good exception to that rule is our friend Fuzzin. He's got it, but he doesn't play, I think, as much as I do.
Yeah.
He's got a good balance.
He's got a good balance.
Yeah.
Have either one of you guys played Balatro? I guess that's the new Cat's Meow.
What did you call me?
What did I call
Yeah,
you?
No, I have not played.
Balatro.
Yeah, I heard about it because of all the people that were pushing for it for like game of the year of 2024 and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, I had heard of it when it came out because people were talking about how it's an insane game, but you look at it, it's just a card game. But apparently it's very fun to play, and it is on mobile and everything like that, which makes it a lot more easy for people to get into.
Yeah.
But I have not played it.
That came out this year too. That's why I'm bringing it up. But yeah, I'm right there with you. And I heard the same thing. Everyone was kind of saying it's, if not the game of the year, one of the most played games of the year, being like the number of people. And 100% the reason why you're saying too is that it's available on everything. So, and if you got a smartphone, you can play it.
Also, if I may, one last thing. A game I didn't get to play, but I desperately wanted to. I haven't beaten the first one, so I'm putting it off. I want to play Senua's Saga Hellblade 2.
Yeah.
It looks so good. First one gets my heart racing and makes me feel uneasy, and I love it. And I uninstalled it because I had to say, I'm going to play this when I'm ready for it. And I haven't been ready for it yet, but I want to be.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. I never finished the first one. And I was waiting to finish the first one to play the second one, and I agree with you. That one would be a lot of fun. I guess we got to go to Brad now. Boo.
Okay, hold on. Let me uncrinkle my paper here. Let me see what I wrote down for my answers to the quiz.
Plot twist. It just says ad lib on the paper.
It's written on his arm like he's in high school cheating on a test.
It's in
all
Sharpie
faded.
on the palm of my hand, but it's a little bit like spludged out now. So I'm just gonna have to kind of guess at what it says.
I got their phone number, but is that a 3 or an 8? I can't tell anymore.
But yeah, like you guys, I also had PalWorld and Liar's Bar on my list just because those were very fun multiplayer games, as we kind of already went through with these. But one game that was also on your list, Carson, that Marvel Rivals. I have already put something like 70 hours into that game, and it just came out, 3 weeks ago. It is very similar to other kind of like 6v6 shooter games of like that kind of genre, but the one that this one feels different is every character feels overpowered in their own way. Like there's no, you gotta play by the meta of you need to do this character, and everything like that. They do have fun things with the characters where they have like upgrades if you play certain characters together.
Yeah, the team ups.
Yeah.
Yep.
But like you say, they're not mandatory to make that happen. I will say that I feel that the meta sticks a little too closely to 2 tanks, 2 DPS, 2 healers, and it works out really well. But among all of the heroes, none of them feel too desperately weak.
Correct. Like every single hero feels like they have something that brings them up to everybody else. Like it's not like you can go in and be like, okay, well, I can't play this character because they're just very weak. Each character has a good counter for another one. Like if you see somebody playing Groot, you want to have somebody playing Squirrel Girl on your team because she can take down Groot's, trees and walls and everything very effortlessly.
Good to know. I'm taking notes.
I have not.
Yeah.
I have never tested that. I'll check that out. I play Namor often against things like Spider-Man and Iron Man.
Oh yeah. Namor is very good for playing against very squishy characters because he has the squids that he can put out there that kind of always fire. You have characters like Wolverine, who is really good for taking out like healers. So if you see like a Cloak and Dagger or a Luna Snow on the other team, a Wolverine can snap them out of place very quickly because he can literally jump at them and throw them around. Same for Winter Soldier and stuff. So like every character has a counter that makes it so nobody's overpowered, but everybody is overpowered in a way.
My favorite elimination in that game was from Doctor Strange. I baited someone to jump into my portal, and they fell into the void.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
I felt so good.
My favorite go-to is Penny Parker, where she has the, what are they? The spider nests that just
She's fantastic.
lay a bunch of bombs and everything around you. And yeah, whenever you have like a Jeff player that who's a little land shark, swallows your entire team and then runs over that and just explodes, and all your entire team just pops in out of nowhere. Love it. Every single time it happens, it'll never not make me smile.
I mean, it doesn't make me smile when it's my teammate and they forget to spit me out.
Oh yeah, that too. There's plenty of videos of people that have played Jeff and accidentally spit out the enemy team and then proceeded to jump off a cliff in order to kill everybody from their own team that they didn't realize.
Yeah, everyone learns the hard way once.
Yep, pretty much. Always hilarious to watch those clips too. Especially people that like zoom in on the chat where everybody's going, "Come on, man, seriously? Really? Really?"
But definitely, Marvel Rivals, I agree, deserves its place on this list for the type of game it is.
Well, we
Oh,
actually we have a Marvel Rivals episode coming up pretty soon on Bickering Nerds. So hopefully that will be coming up pretty soon. But
We'll see how timelines work for that one.
yep. A real quick side thing. Just so you know, a lot of people say that Namor is the Aquaman of Marvel.
Yeah.
But I do want to point out that Namor came out 2 years before Aquaman did. 1939, Namor. It was his first appearance, and Aquaman's first appearance was 1941. So,
Yep.
November of 1941 compared to like August or something like that of 39. So, yeah, almost exactly 2
So
years.
we are the original Water Boys.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, the big thing with that is Namor doesn't really have too much of a presence in media outside of the comics up until like somewhat recently.
Yeah.
But he's dangerous.
Oh yeah,
Because of his,
he was a
with
part
the,
of the original
Gotta.
Marvel Illuminati, so yeah, he's one of the big players.
Yep. That's right.
So, but going off of that to some of my other games that hadn't been mentioned yet, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I am not big into fighting games, but I do like me a good Dragon Ball game, and Dragon Ball Sparking Zero definitely hit that nostalgia neuron in my brain that needed to be hit in the last like 8 years since we last got a good Dragon Ball Z fighting game. And Sparking Zero has a lot of characters that I love to play as. Each character actually feels unique. Even some of the variations where you have, what is it, like 17 Gokus in there, they do actually have different movesets and attack styles where it'll be different combos between them, which is kind of a cool thing that you don't really see that kind of a detail put into a game where they're like, yeah, we have 100 characters plus, where every character does kind of feel unique.
Yeah. No, I remember when we were doing the capture for that. I was like, how many people are in this game? That's
Right.
ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. 100 and what?
There's more characters in that game than there are original Pokemon, you know?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember saying that. That's crazy. Yeah, that one was insane. That game
Yeah.
was insane. But that's really cool. Yeah, I'm waiting to hear one game specifically from you. And I don't know
Yeah.
if you're going to say it or not.
I'm definitely gonna say the game.
Okay.
Because personally, this is my favorite game of the year,
I
hands
just lost the
down,
game.
without any question. Astrobot,
Yep, there it is.
and yeah, when we actually still have our playthrough going up every Monday right now on Bickering Nerds. And if you can't tell from the way I react to everything in that game when I'm not dying constantly, I'm having fun.
That's hilarious.
Right. It's everything that I love about like the past PlayStation games and everything is represented in that game. And it hits every single happiness note possible when it comes to reminding me how fun those games were. Like playing that game made me kind of go through and be like, yeah, I do want to play Ape Escape again. I do want to play Loco Roco again. We need to go back and play God of War. Like, these are the games that I remember playing so dearly, and they just pulls all the memories from that into this one. And the fact that it won Game of the Year, I know a lot of people are upset that it won Game of the Year because of reason A, B, C, whatever. You're all wrong. It deserves it 100%. And it's one of those games that I love platformers. It's very rare we get a AAA platformer that isn't Mario. And the fact that even in their victory speech at the Game Awards, where they talked about how they came up with Astrobot and this world and working on this game and everything, without mentioning it, they basically thanked Nintendo for the Super Mario games that inspired them to get into game design and making games and everything, which is one of those things where it's like, you gotta put props to them, that they're not just up there being like, we won, we're the best. Their prop is to another game series entirely that they're thanking for allowing them to get to that point.
Yeah.
You know, like when you have a game developer that has that kind of thought, it's like, yeah, you can tell they didn't make this game because they were like, oh, we're going to win Game of the Year. They made this game because they have a love of games, and that is sprinkled throughout the game, and you can tell inherently as you're playing it how much these people love these games.
Oh, I totally agree. I totally agree. And I gotta say, one negative thing I was realizing while doing the editing for Astrobot is how much that they were putting in people that are not actually Sony's intellectual property.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the one thing I was like, come on, Sony, I thought you had more than this, right? Or more people than this. Like, it was really the Resident Evil people, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, yeah, those were released on
PlayStation.
Sony, yeah, PlayStation and Sony products and things like that. But I was like, that's not really a Sony IP, though. You know, that's where I was like, that's a Capcom. I can't believe I said Capcom IP. So, but other than that, I mean, that's just bickering nerd right there.
Right.
Overall, I agree with you. That was even a fun game to watch being played. I mean, a lot of times people go, I can't believe you and your buddies like sit there and watch each other play a game and talk about it. I'm like, some of these games are a lot of fun to watch someone play. Watching Astrobot was a blast. Just a blast. Hearing the history come from Brad about the certain characters and things like that, or who it was, or what game that that person was in. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, I overall I think that was a very good choice for Game of the Year.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's one of those games that I don't know if I'm going to go back and play it again, but I can tell you if they announce a sequel, it's going to be a day one pre-order. Like my money's going to be on the table waiting this until it gets announced.
Yeah. No, I get you. So the things that won actual Game of the Year or recognized as Game of the Year. So we have Astrobot. That's the one that won. Balatro is on there. Another game that I wish I played, but Fuzzin played, and I would have put it on my list if I would have played it, is Black Myth Wukong. That was a beautiful game. I watched Fuzzin play it for a little while, and it was absolutely amazing. And I know if Fuzzin was here, he said that would have been on his list. I really wish we would have had his list too, because he plays more of that kind of stuff than we do, like Souls-likes and things like that. One of them that was on the list I didn't agree with just because it was an expansion, but the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree.
Yeah, that was a weird choice for them to add it in, because there is a DLC portion of the Game Awards that they didn't even nominate it, or the people behind Elden Ring didn't nominate it for DLC. They only nominated it for Game of the Year. It probably would have won DLC of the Year.
And I think that's called ongoing game, best ongoing game for the DLC.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. And then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is coming out or just came out on PC, so I'm going to get to play that finally. And Metaphor Refantasio.
It's from the same studio that does all the like Persona games and everything like that.
Yes.
And it has like the same kind of vibe as Persona. So if you're into Persona, it's supposedly an amazing game. It's just a long game. Like I love Persona 5. I've played some of the Persona 3 Reload and everything. I haven't gotten a chance to like finish that up yet, but they're long games. They're a lot of fun and they have some great story to them. But you're dedicating serious time to play those games.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's something I don't have right now. It's kind of hard to do Bickering Nerds and play those long form games too, so.
Oh yeah.
It sounds like games that we have in common really, we don't have much, right? I think Liar's Bar was really about it. I didn't have it on my list, but I think that's one of the only games, that and PalWorld. I think PalWorld is the only one was like on all of our lists that was like really high on the list, right? So,
But my list was small, so if you just use your two's list, there might be more in common.
well, it's not just that. It's just more of like, I agree that Astrobot should have won, or did win. You know, that was probably the game of the year for me too, right? But I would say out of the ones that I've played, I have a hard time giving it to Marvel Rivals just because of recent bias, right? Even though it's a great game, it's also very hard since it just came out December 5th, right?
Right.
So
It's the one that's fresh in everybody's mind. So it's hard to be like, what was that really the game of the year, or is it just the one that I remember the best right now?
Yep, exactly. And that's why
It's also not very groundbreaking. It's not particularly new in any category.
Right. So out of the games I played that are on all of our lists, I would say PalWorld for me was probably the highest. That was, I wouldn't say it was the game of the year. Like I'm not saying everyone should go out and go buy it immediately, but I'm saying that I think that was probably the most fun game that out of all of our lists put together kind of thing for all of us to have played together, right? I think that was probably the best time, right? Not the best game.
Yeah.
It was the best time, right?
I can agree with that.
Yeah. So, but I do think Astrobot overall was the best game.
Those are probably good choices.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So
I agree.
Yep. So I will say this. After about an hour of conversation, what we all just came down to is they chose right.
Yeah, they did good.
Yeah. So we agree with the awards. Astrobot did good. So great job, Astrobot. You know, yay. So,
now that we've confirmed it, everybody else can take it as true.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So. They were waiting for us.
They were.
And for everybody listening in, what were yours when it comes to like games this year that you played that either didn't get enough attention or you totally agreed with everybody else when they were saying that it's one of the best that they've played this year? We kind of want to know. Because there's a ton that we missed this year. This was a weird year in games where normally I try and play a lot of the newer games, but I ended up going back and playing a lot of older games this year instead of the new ones, just because that backlog, man.
That backlog is growing.
Same.
Yeah.
I played Turok 1 this year.
Right. That's how far behind you are.
Yeah, and you're playing. Are you gonna play Turok Origins when that comes out?
No, I haven't, but I actually can go back even farther. I've got my blue Pokemon cartridge up and running. I've been playing.
Oh, there you go.
Oh my god.
Right? It's so good. And for the people in the comments, if you disagree vehemently with any of our choices, mention that too.
Yeah, please
I mean,
do.
you're wrong.
Yeah,
But go ahead and mention it.
Yeah,
But
in
I'm
fact, start
less
your comment
wrong
with,
than you.
Start your comment with, "I know I'm wrong, but," and then go from there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that kind of wraps it up for us here. Thank you very much for joining us, the Bickering Nerds, for our 2024 game kind of wrap up thing. Hopefully we get to do it again in 2025 with a little bit more structure to it. Our next episode, we'll see you later. Thanks for stopping by.
Till next time.